Welcome back to the 2006 Fantasy Football Champs Challenge. With the first pick, the Huddle has selected running back Larry Johnson of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Terrific. No surprise there, Ian. We're expecting the big three: Larry Johnson, Shaun Alexander, Danny Thompson, all to go. The order we're still not sure of.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and then with the second pick, Football Injuries has selected Shaun Alexander, the Seattle Seahawks. In the first round, we're expecting a run of running backs. Generally, you'll get possibly all 12 running backs taken. Now, in a league like this where you get 1 point per reception, sometimes that, we'll get some running backs mixed in with the first round, but generally we're looking at, get some wide receivers mixed in with the first round.
The third pick, the third of the big three, LaDainian Tomlinson, goes to fantasyguru.com. Again, no surprise. We knew it's going to be those three, just didn't know the order. We go 6, so we're sitting on a running back most likely, but let's see who NFL.com takes. And like Ian said, it looks like they've already selected. They were ready to go. Edgerrin James, number 4, to NFL.com. All right, so we have on the clock is Draft Sharks, number 5. Most likely going to sit on a running back. And looks like they've already selected a running back. Steven Jackson, running back for the St. Louis Rams. Again, maybe he would have been in the top 7 or 8 in my rankings. As you can see, we're not quite as high as him as Lenny is at Draft Sharks, but can't argue with him at number 5. So we're on the clock.
We've talked about this before. We thought it would play out a little differently. I'm actually, quite frankly, shocked Edgerrin James went at 4. Steven Jackson doesn't surprise me that much, but they haven't selected Tiki Barber. John and I had talked about Tiki Barber in this spot. We talked about Cadillac Williams because we thought Tiki would be gone. John, if it's up to me, I think we should take Barber. He's a force in this league. He was a top 4 back last year, and he catches a ton of balls.
Fully agree. If he does anywhere near what he did last year, getting him in the 6 hole is a steal.
So FF Champs is going to select Tiki Barber.
So with our first pick of the 2006 FF Champs Challenge, the Champs take Tiki Barber. And no, that's not just because he's a giant. Number 7, Football Diehards on the board. Again, we're expecting him to take a running back here. Most people in the first 7 or 8 slots of the draft are going to take runners. You're not going to see a wide receiver creep in until maybe 10, maybe 11. You'll see Steve Smith go. But certainly right here, I'm expecting Emil take a running back. All right, now, Ian, we happen to get Tiki at 6. This morning we were talking about it. We didn't quite think we would. So our plan's shaping up, wouldn't you say?
I'm thrilled with Barber right there. I can't say I had written him off. I was confident he would go inside of us. I mean, there were 4 running backs in the last year in this scoring system, and again, the 1 point per reception that were pretty much bunched at the top. About 20, 30 points separated them, and they were Larry Johnson, Shaun Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, who we suspected would go 1, 2, 3, and Tiki Barber was the 4th. After Tiki Barber, there was a 50-point drop-off to the 5th guy. So, quite frankly, I don't know what changed from last year to this year. But we got Tiki Barber at 6, so I'm ecstatic.
No,
and it's a homer pick because we're diehard Giant fans.
Home run. Nothing wrong with Tiki. Nothing wrong with taking him at 6. Like we said, this league happens to have a 1 point per reception, which brings a lot of value with the wide receivers. In addition, you can start either 2 runners and 4 wide receivers, or 3 runners and 3 wide receivers. So it's kind of important to load up on both of those 2 positions. And as you'll see, we don't take quarterbacks early. I don't care if his name is Peyton Manning or not.
It looks like the number 7 pick is in. Football Diehards have selected Lamont Jordan, running back from the Oakland Raiders.
Now, I happen to like Jordan a lot. He had a great year his first year as a starter. But if anyone's seen any of their preseason games, they haven't looked great. Taking him at 7 is a bit of a reach. Problem is, if you don't take him there, he's never coming back in the 2nd. So perhaps Emil just really wanted to get Jordan on his team. But I can't argue. Good player. It's tough to draft in the 7 or 8 slot of this league. So with that, we've got KFFL on the clock. They're going at number 8. Again, I'm suspecting they're going to probably take, we haven't seen Clinton Portis here. Maybe the shoulder injury is really scaring some guys, but I'm expecting we're either going to see Cadillac Williams or Clinton Portis right here. And with that, KFFL selects Clinton Portis at number 8.
Clinton Portis, like John had said, had been basically the consensus number 4 pick for a while here. Last preseason game, which was last Sunday, separated his shoulder, and they're not sure if he's going to make it back. He's definitely out for the preseason. They're not sure if he's going to make it back for the first game. So Portis, as you can tell, fell from 4 to 8. So we'll see how that plays out. If he makes it back for the first game and he has 1,600 yards and 12, 13 touchdowns, it's going to be a monster steal at 8.
It's lots of value at 8. We talked about taking Steven Jackson before Portis, mainly due to this little shoulder situation. And as you can see, the first 8 picks have all been running backs. That's how most drafts in America, I'm sure your draft at home is going to go the exact same way. Hard to pass up on a stud running back early in the draft. You just don't want to take a shot. And quite frankly, the only real receiver you'd even think here would be Steve Smith. Hasn't played much in the preseason, if any, barely practiced. So if anything, he's probably slipping a little bit. We've got at number 9, fantasyindex.com or Fantasy Index Magazine, which of course we won twice, their extra poll. And they're probably going to take a runner here too.
Way to be humble, by the way, John.
Yeah, you can see they're probably waiting, and I suspect we're going to see Cadillac Williams. They're waiting there. They're letting the clock tick down because they're not sure who to take. They were probably sitting on thinking they were going to get Steven Jackson. Maybe Lamont Jordan would fall to them. Neither did. And they're looking at Cadillac Williams or a couple of question marks like Ronnie Brown, Willis McGahee. So, tough position to be in. Glad we're not necessarily picking down there myself.
They're certainly taking their sweet time to pick.
Maybe he's still on dial-up. Is that possible? Can't be possible.
Well, he's going to take Ronnie Brown, and we're going to have to put it in for him because it looks like he's having a problem.
All right, so he somehow got back on. We got Ronnie Brown going number 9 to Index. Ronnie Brown's getting the first shot to really start on a regular basis for Miami. Big risk to me. I guess you really have few choices when you draft that late. It's tough to do. He didn't have a choice. Actually, that's where he wanted to draft. Matter of fact, the way we drew the draft slots for this draft was we had everyone get a random number, and then they got to pick. And
ESPN, not to cut you off, John, but ESPN is in. Rudy Johnson, running back, Cincinnati.
Number 10, Rudy Johnson. And Rudy had a great year last year and had a couple of real good years in a row. Problem is he doesn't catch a ball a whole lot. In this league, you get 1 point per reception, like I said, so what you really want to focus on, like we did, is getting a running back who catches a lot of balls. And Tiki Barber can catch 60 or 70 balls in the Giant offense. Rudy Johnson, they bring in Chris Perry on 3rd down. They bring in Chris Perry if they got a pass to the runner. So not so sure Rudy Johnson is nearly as good as he is as a football player, quite so much as a fantasy football player. Would you agree?
Oh, he's a great football player. He can pound the football, but he's a system back. They have a guy they like to throw to, Chris Perry. And in this league, like I said before, you get 1 point per reception, so the backs that catch it are more valuable. Rudy will have a great year. Statistically, he'll help his team win, but he's not going to catch any passes, which pads the statistics in this league. So, quite frankly, he probably went where he should have, down at the bottom, 11 or 12. Ronnie Brown's a surprise to me. He's a second-year back. As everybody knows, last year he played in tandem with Ricky Williams. We all know what happened to Ricky Williams. So he's got no NFL experience, and he'll break down. I mean, that's generally what happens to these guys.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Just to give you guys a little heads up, we had on this scoring system with our custom rankings, we have Rudy Johnson ranked at 14, and he just went at 10. And we just had the FF today drafting at number 11 on the clock, and they've selected Brian Westbrook. Now, you see, Brian Westbrook is a player who catches a ton of balls in that Philly offense. They just lost Terrell Owens. They need people to catch balls. Donovan McNabb loves the dump-off pass. So in this system, he actually is a fantastic option. Problem has always been durability with him. Points per game, he gets a lot of points, catches a lot of balls, loads up on a lot of yards, doesn't score huge amounts of touchdowns. But in this system, he's a terrific play.
So we got one more pick, and that'll end the first round. And again, like we said, not much surprise here. We thought a wide receiver may have creeped into the top 12, and it still might. We have one pick left, but I'm going to have to say I doubt it. Running backs are a hot commodity in fantasy football, as anyone that plays knows, and people are going to take them off the board fast and furiously.
Absolutely agree. And with that, we see FantasyFootball.com's Ryan Houston has chimed in with Carnell Williams. Now, to me, that is phenomenal value at the 12th pick. You can't pass it up. The guy is going into his second year. He had some injury issues last year because Gruden ran him, but he's going to be fantastic. And getting him at 12, it's almost like stealing.
All right, so let's recap the first round.
As expected. Well, I shouldn't say as expected. I expected Steve Smith to go somewhere up here. 12 straight running backs.
A lot of green on the board here.
And quite frankly, that's how a lot of drafts in America are going to go. They're going to go running back, running back, running back, running back, running back. And right now, of course, we've got
running back
on the clock again, yeah. In this scenario, Carnell Williams at 12 doesn't seem fair. All right, well, let's take a little break here. We'll be back with round number 2 and show you guys the rest of the pick and see how these rosters fill out their team.